You know what time it is. Let's get into it. Now loaded. This trial is an alternate universe that contains some dual destinies plot elements. That being said, character motivations have been changed and adapted for this plot. We hope you enjoy the empty turnabout. Spoilers. Wait. What? Did you just say? No. No, she didn't just say that. The evidence. The testimony. It doesn't make sense. She had a clear alibi. She wasn't there. So how did she know that? I assure you, I am innocent, Apollo. What the hell is this? She's an attorney. The case against her was solid, but she was supposed to be innocent. This is madness. She's my client. I trusted her. Did she trick me? Did she trick everyone? Jury finds a defendant, Athena Sykes. Your Honor. No. Need to scream. Need to raise an objection. I assure you, I am innocent, Apollo. Why? Why can't I say anything? What have I done? Six months later. Well, here we go again. Kind of funny when you think about it. Despite how long it's been since I stood here. All it took was a second for it all to come back to me. If I didn't know any better, I'd almost say this feeling was nostalgic. There's nothing good to look back to in a place like this. It doesn't really matter what your definition of good is. It's just a word, anyway. But not for long. Hi, Apollo. Talking to yourself, are you? Well, well, well. You actually came. Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed in myself, too. I nearly faded out of existence there for a second, but I was just in the middle of ripping off El Dude when I thought to myself, Phoenix, go watch a show. Preferably something involving people looking like idiots. So I came here. Well, as long as I'm at the defense bench, you're bound to get your money's worth, right? I thought so too. Then I thought to myself that there's a possibility that you suddenly got awesome. Like Phoenix Wright awesome. Phoenix who? Are you talking about that guy that cleans up the office toilet? Of course. He and his trusty dog Apollo. Together they unite to keep America safe from the toilet uprising. How does a dog help clean a toilet exactly? You don't want to know. I don't know, Apollo. How does a dog help clean the toilet? Well, good to know that your humor is still there. Toilet humor prevails overall, Mr. Justice. Good to see you again. It's sad I didn't even get a hello just now, you know? Well, I thought it was appropriate. We never got a goodbye either, you know? Guess not. Which meant that you were coming back, no matter what. Making assumptions on a fool's actions isn't something I'd do if I were you. From experience, pays off. How's Trucy? Oh, come on. Not like you don't already know how she is. Think I never caught on that you two kept in touch? I figured it was around the time you went senile and you just wouldn't notice. That... Oh, you young people. Then again, I suppose it was obvious. What kind of a brother would I'd have been if I'd disappeared for 6 months without a word? She said that she has a big gig this month. A trick during a play or something. Yeah. She wants you to be there too, you know. She doesn't have to worry. I will be. I always will. I know. What about the other part of your life? Hmm? Oh, you should be getting those divorce papers pretty soon. But, you know what I mean. After what happened, I honestly didn't expect to see you again here. You don't think too highly of me, it seems. Surprised? Don't worry. I'm not standing here just to look nice. I figured. With taking a case like this out of the blue. Well, don't worry. I'm not here to ask for reasons. Since you probably have them figured out. Or at least you think you do. I told you. I'm just here for the show. They have missed me. What can I say? My scheming days came to an end. What else am I supposed to do now? And I hope you're entertained if nothing else. I've heard only good things about the cast. The director's kind of a wreck, though. Always forgetting the right props. Huh. It figures it was with you the whole time. You know, that day I actually came back to look for it. I think you can imagine how stupid I felt when I never found it. I can. That's only because you were stupid enough to throw it away in the first place. Hey. Speaking of lost things, where's our lucky winner of the defendant lottery? Him? Last I checked, the prosecutor's lobby. You seem unfazed by that. Actually, you seem pretty confident to begin with. Shouldn't I be? I know he's innocent. Not exactly what the papers say. Or common sense, for that matter. When has it ever stopped us before? The trial's about to begin. The defense enter the courtroom. Well, Mr. Wright? Want to have the best seats in the house? I thought that went without saying. Alright. Follow. I believe you're forgetting something. Once you realize what it is, I'd like to hear you say it out loud, if possible. Just to proudly wear the title of the man who heard justice actually say it. How do you know about that? How do you even know I still haven't said it? Talking in your sleep gives out way more information than you'd think it would. The answer to your second question is witchcraft. Fine. Here comes justice. Tall. The empty turnabout. Well, here we go again. Oh, wow. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Nathaniel Marston. How's it feel to be back in the saddle? I'd say it would depend on my trusty steed, but feels oddly right. Are you prepared? Shall ever be, I suppose. Is the defense ready? Or is the defense done talking amongst themselves? Not a strain in your voice. Interesting. Are you saying the fact that I'm not nervous is bad? Any normal person would. Even you must have realized that the odds are stacked against you here. One look at who you seem to be facing isn't exactly reassuring either. Be careful, Apollo. He has a point. Simple crime, an obvious culprit, a dangerous enemy. There's also a confession somewhere in there, too. Any sensible person would run for the hills in my shoes. But I picked this battle. I'm sure as hell not gonna run from it now. So bring it on. No matter what happens today, change is coming with it. I'm assuming that the defense and the prosecution are prepared, respectively. Defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is most certainly not prepared, Your Honor. What? Well, isn't that a first? Ah, Prosecutor Edgeworth. How are you this fine morning? Not how a person brought to a trial under false pretense would be, I'm sure. False pretense? Your Honor, I am the chief prosecutor. Part of the job description is assigning prosecutors to a case. The fact that you didn't approve of my selection for this case does not give you the right to drag me down here using deception. I demand this trial be postponed until the prosecutor I assigned is in this courtroom. Mr. Edgeworth, would you please tell this court who you picked to prosecute this case? Winston Payne. Yes, that is what you did. I'm not sure if you're aware or not, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh no. Winston Payne is as much of a prosecutor as I am a turnip. The man cleans my pool on weekends, for heaven's sake. Oh no. That is hardly an excuse for your actions. I signed him on this case because I believe it matched his limited skill set. I might disagree, but that's hardly warranted. You calling me and telling me he's been shot? Oh. And where is he, for that matter? I sent him home. Told him the trial was postponed. Oh my god. You can't do that, Your Honor! Should we do something? Deny ourselves this? I don't think so. Your Honor, I will report this to the committee. Oh, I'm sure you will. But then I would need to talk to them about your collection. But I don't... My what? I'm sure this proud city would like to see what the Grand Chief Prosecutor collects, no? Are you blackmailing me, Your Honor? Now that I think about it, my cousin is the show's producer. We'd have had a few, parking tickets he needed to get rid of at some point or another. Okay. Who knows? Maybe the Steel Samurai's trusty cat Miyamoto might be killed. What the fuck is wrong with you? Last episode did end on a cliffhanger, after all. This is ridiculous. Do you actually think something like that would work on me? No. He'll take the case, just don't hurt the cat. What is going on? This is serious, right? Stay out of it. Right. Edgeworth! Long time no see. Looking as handsome as ever. And you penniless as always. What on earth are you doing here? The answer would be that kiddo on my left. Way to build me up. Follow justice, sir. It's an honor to meet you. Justice. So you're the one stirring up trouble in Mr. Gavin's cases. I spoke very highly of you. I can now see why. Oh, you. Well, I've already made myself look like a fool in front of the jurists anyway. Very well. Prosecution is ready. Even if I doubt this trial will go on for very long. Just like that. I am familiar with this particular case. I had to be witness signing a prosecutor. Being the chief prosecutor isn't just sitting in an office doing nothing as your mentor imagines. He's putting words in my mouth. Never said he doesn't do anything. Pretty sure he dances while a party of supermodels cheer for him. What? Just need to find the evidence. Want to see your abilities for myself, Mr. Justice. Have you learned anything from him? And, if so, see what the damage was. That... Guess I'm basically the showrunner here. As far as these two go, anyway. No added pressure or anything. Very good. I'm glad you made the right decision, Mr. Edgeworth. Just don't mind me being blatantly corrupt, Oh, guess I really am going up against the great Miles Edgeworth. Now then, prosecution may present its opening statement. Yes, Your Honor. Cue the dramatic music. Crime occurred 2 days ago, or yesterday in the early morning, if you will. Crime itself, members of the jury, nothing short of murder. And when is it anything but? Victim Ian Arts was discovered dead in his private estate. The estate which had guests, let me add. Nice photo. Wish I had that type of posture. That isn't an actual photo of the victim, Your Honor. Mr. Arts was the former police officer that left the force years ago due to a scandal. He himself was quite wealthy and decided to live in seclusion. In truth, no one except a select few had seen his face after that. What I've been told, the only photo of him acquirable is years old and unusable. All else he's personally had destroyed. Very good, Mr. Justice. You've done your homework. Aha. Oh, there really didn't seem a way I couldn't find out about it. Ian Arts. Scandal. Ah, I remember. What a terrible thing. Mind filling me in on what actually happened? Later. All you need to know is that scandal is an understatement. We will address Mr. Art and his, personality. A bit later in the trial, I hope. What the court needs to know at this time is the thing that condemns the defendant. Here it comes. According to witnesses, the defendant, Mr. Marston, was also one of Mr. Art's guests. The night went on until a gunshot was heard, coming from the victim's study. Witnesses regrouped and found that both the defendant and the victim were missing. Naturally, they went to the source of the gunshot and found themselves at a locked door. Naturally, it's a... You know who made this case. Of course it's a locked room. Breaking it down, they found the defendant standing in the room, along with the victim, dead on the floor. Actually hearing him lay it out like that makes it sound even worse. But I'm fine. In an uncomfortable position, but fine. This is starting to sound awfully familiar for some reason. Very nicely done, Mr. Edgeworth. Much better than how Mr. Payne would have done it, I'm sure. I should also mention that the defendant confessed. Confessed? He, however, firmly states that the murder was done in self-defense. Leads me to my next question. Mr. Justice. Yes? How do you plead? Granted, I myself very much doubt his story, but a self-defense argument is as good as any. The defense pleads not guilty. As in, my client did not kill Mr. Arts. Interesting. In other words, you are doubting the client's version of events. I can already see the first difference between you and Wright. Wright believed in his client to the end. Which, if that's what he meant, that's incorrect. We're believing in him, we're believing in our client even when he doesn't believe in himself. To say that your client did not kill Mr. Arts, on the other hand, does sound like something Wright would claim. Let's see if you can have the jury believe that, too. especially after I call my first witness, Detective Dick Gumshoe, to the stand. Let's go, Gumshoe. Oh, hello. Sad jazz. Detective, please state your name and profession. Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm the detective in charge of homicide at the precinct, sir. Someone's in a good mood today. Heck, pal, why wouldn't I be? He's got news from Maggie that the kid didn't have the flu, after all. You know what that means. Drinks after work? You betcha. Want in? I'm sure I know a few guys who'd want to give you a good smack on the head or two. Tempting, but I'll pass. Need the head for illegal gambling and whatnot. You're trying to get yourself arrested in court. Again? That, At this point, Mr. Wright's rap sheet is bigger than his ego, I think. Still, I believe congratulations are in order, Gumshoe. If I'm not mistaken, little Miles' birthday just around the corner, no? His third. If I'm not mistaken, please, he knows the kid's shoe size. And give him my best regards. Oh, don't tell me you won't be able to come to the party. Apologies, Detective. Important business trip to Germany, I'm afraid. With that idiot over there, the kids should have at least someone to laugh at. I call dibs on being the clown again. I wouldn't have it any other way, pal. Yes, well, this is certainly making me all warm and fuzzy inside. Except you've been called here for a reason. Ahem. Indeed. I apologize, Your Honor. Detective, please testify to us about the facts surrounding this case in more detail. And, if possible, start considering calling your next kid Phoenix. Alrighty. Oh. The victim was Ian Arts, a former police detective. He was hosting a private party at his mansion on the night of the murder. I heard it was one of the guests that attended. I suspect that during the party, he snuck off into the victim's study and waited for him. The victim finally showed up and, well, the defendant shot him. The other guests heard the noise and rushed to the door. They broke it down. Found the defendant just standing there, in the middle of the room. Right next to him was the victim, dead. Interesting. To admit, I'm somewhat disappointed. I expected a little something less, straightforward. Really? I thought that's how this usually goes. From experience, Your Honor, said things sometimes really are as straightforward as they seem. It's just that once the defense gets the word, It's just that once the defense gets the word, that things get... What? It's just that once the defense gets the word that things get... That sentence doesn't jive. Hope you'll stay away from those kinds of tactics, Mr. Justice. Oh, come on. You know you love it. Without me always throwing a wrench in your reasoning, everything's just boring. Everything is necessarily a game, right? The fact that you have a tendency to prove me wrong doesn't change that I'm usually right. Right, usually. Must be nice actually believing that. I doubt I'd be able to sleep at night if I didn't. Now then, Justice, if you would. Right. Still, you actually forgot how to do this. Yeah? I went through years of law school to forget how to do cross-examinations. That was me from time to time. Next right 1, education 0. Okay. Seems relatively simple, at least for now. Information is key here. But if most of it isn't good for me. What exactly do you know about the victim? Me? Not much, really. be honest, didn't even know who the guy was until, we're not obligated to discuss that particular incident from your point of view. The question was about facts regarding the man. Well, the answer's kind of the same, pal. Tried digging, but not a whole lot is left of him. That's one way to put it. All I know is that the guy's been around for a while before everything happened. And was filthy rich, apparently. How exactly did he amass that fortune? It's not something he discussed publicly. The answer to that lies with his personal confidants, of which there aren't many. What I heard he inherited from his sister after she passed away. According to her, at least. We're not here to speculate on that. The prosecution believes that Mr. Art's fortune was in no way relevant to the actual crime. From your point of view, anyway. It's all something to think about, if nothing else. As for the victim's personality, he was an introvert. Aside from erasing basically all traces of his existence. I doubt many even knew about his mansion up until the night of the murder. What happened must have ended up scarring him pretty bad. He just became scared for his well-being. Maybe he just felt like walking away while he still could. Well, speaking of the mansion... could you perhaps describe the mansion for the court? I can do you one better, pal. As it turns out, even though the victim went through great length to keep the location of his mansion secret, its construction went through the proper channels. Once we had the actual address and location, went ahead and got our hands on one of these. And that is... a floor plan of the mansion, Your Honor. Well, that looks complicated. Apologies, Your Honor. We had to mark the rooms ourselves. As you can probably see, the mansion has 2 floors. To be fair, it isn't that high, or generally that big to begin with. So why is it called a mansion? Because that's how the victim wished to classify it. And when did you start to respect the wishes of apparently horrible dead people? The crime occurred on the 2nd floor, in the study. Huh, the layout's a bit weird. Pantry on the 2nd floor, anyone? Right, I don't believe you're in any position to discuss how a mansion should look. In any case, the investigators thoroughly searched all the other rooms of 2F and found nothing. Hence, the only areas that you should be focusing on is the study. So this is where it all happened. Ka-ching. I see. I must agree with Mr. Wright. This isn't something I'd call a mansion. To be fair, Your Honor, actually standing there does leave a different impression. I can assure you, Mr. Arth did not waste his fortune away on something underwhelming. But does it hold a candle to your mansion, Edgeworth? I don't believe I'm inclined to answer that. Mr. Edgeworth has a mansion? Of course. Where do you think Trucy and I actually go when the office is being renovated? Home? Oh, Apollo. Poor naive Apollo. You think I actually have a home? In any case, please proceed with your testimony, Detective. I've lived in that office for 18 years, Apollo. Alright. That's a bit strange, don't you think? How so? According to what we heard just a few moments ago, the victim was hardly sociable. Not exactly someone who'd be throwing parties, don't you think? I think you might be jumping the gun a little bit there, Mr. Justice. Well, it's certainly something that's unusual and perhaps unexpected of the victim. There's a very good reason that particular party occurred. There's an even better one for the defendant accepting the invitation to it. One which will serve as foundation for the motive for this murder. Actually, why not present that reason right now? It's quite obvious that you're in no mood for wasting time. You see, when in situations like these, there's a procedure that I follow. I have no intention of having the jury make misassumptions because we move too fast. True, but if your case is as waterproof as you claim it to be, presenting your case in one swoop should leave us broken and begging, no? Please, right. The defense also deserves a fair chance to go over each point individually. That's an interesting approach. As I said, it's not an approach, it's a procedure. Apollo. That approach makes it one of the few men with cravats that I trust. Procedure. Yeah, whatever. But do me a favor. Don't underestimate him, please. Forget about what you've read or what I've told you. Lose yourself for a second. He'll bury you alive. That's the reason why he got to be the demon for so long. Huh. If you're trying to scare me, you're not doing a very good job of it. No, I'm trying to warn you. The scaring part I'll leave to him. Usually I'd ignore you, but little I've heard about this legend is more than enough to make me tense normally. So even if I don't like it, I probably shouldn't test him. It's annoying, though. Like he's trying to avoid painting the picture of what happened before the murder. Though I have an idea why. It's called narrative structure, Pablo. Why do you say suspect? Are you saying no one actually saw him? Sorry, wrong pronunciation. Suspect. Are you saying no one actually saw him leave the study? What kind of party was that? A rowdy one. Interesting last remark. Why would someone just wandering off at one point seem strange for a party? It's a party, after all. Huh. I think we both know the answer to that question. Indeed, we do. Homework done yet again. Right, I believe this is the part where you start taking notes. Please, I'm the one who told him about it. What are you talking about again? The time the defendant snuck off. Isn't it true that none of the other witnesses had each other in their sights either? What? Indeed. I suppose the detective simply worded that incorrectly. What do you mean, Mr. Justice? It's actually something that the detective failed to clarify. This wasn't exactly a party. Not in a traditional sense, anyway. The actual number of guests, including the defendant, was 3. If we add the victim and the victim's butler to that list, the total adds up to only 5 people. Wait, there's a butler involved? Right, I would appreciate it if you didn't suggest that the butler is the one responsible. Due to a tired and overused cliché. It's solid evidence. 5 people? Well, that's not exactly a party. I suppose it was more of a gathering then, if you will. A gathering. In any case, to further clarify Mr. Justice's point, during the night there came a time where the victim seemingly dropped out of sight. As all the guests were quite eager to speak with him, they decided to search for him, during which time the defendant was left unattended. Mr. Justice might have you believe that this allows for other guests to be suspects. The prosecution will assure you that this is not the case. Very good, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm not done yet. I don't believe Detective Gumshoe ever said how the defendant got into the study. In time, the obvious answer will be explained to you over the course of this trial, I am sure. I don't like this. He isn't giving me any real punches, but I can't throw any either. Putting to you, Detective. What happened after the defendant came into the room? A few things I want to go through. The fact that the defendant was lying in wait. You're saying it was all planned by him. Perhaps not. All. The defendant came into the mansion with murder in mind. However, the actual execution was improvised. Huh. Is that so? Strange. I heard you thought differently. A second question. Later in the testimony, you go on to say that the door was locked. That's why the guests had to, allegedly, break it down. So, when was the door locked? Simple, pal. The victim did it himself. The defendant waited in the shadows for the victim to lock it. Well, I suppose that one was obvious. The room was in complete darkness when the defendant and the guests entered the room. I think it's pretty safe to assume the same applies for when the victim entered. Hence, the victim never spotted the defendant until it was too late. We aren't here to make assumptions, Mr. Edgeworth. Point made. Perhaps I should read the part of your client's confession in which he says that was the case. Oof. Objection withdrawn. Come on, you fell right into that one. Gumshoe, what can you tell us about the actual door? How exactly did Mr. Ards lock it? You didn't need a key if that's what you were asking. The door can be locked and unlocked from the inside without one. Interesting. Steady door. However, doing so from the outside is another story. The door itself can be locked and unlocked with only 2 keys. One is the master key that was carried by one of the people who found the body. In fact, it was carried by this particular person throughout the entire night. The victim's butler. Needless to say, a master key can unlock any door in the mansion. The other key that could possibly unlock this door from the outside was the victim's own key to the study. Unfortunately, it's currently unusable. Unusable? Yes, apologies, Your Honor. The issue will be clarified later. I see. Does that answer all of your questions, Justice? I forgot this was that long. Alright. Noise being... a gunshot, pal. Obviously. Worried upon finding the door locked and nobody responding to their calls, they broke it down. It's as simple as that, Mr. Justice. Is it though? Moment of discovery could be key to showing an alternate take on the crime. Maybe even help me to prove Marston innocent. And again, I doubt it's that easy. It never is. Careful. This could be a moment that could make or break your case. Could you describe the scene a bit more for us? I understand that we'll be able to hear from witnesses on this, but, just a rough idea of what the actual scene was. Risky, considering every detail condemns your client. So, my client is innocent, Mr. Edgeworth. No matter what you throw at me, I'll find a way to prove him innocent. I'm sure you will try. Well, Detective, you heard him. Case suicide. I like it. I'm just making it sound like I made a wrong call here or something. And I'm at the beginning of the trial. It's all about what you'd expect when you catch a guy red-handed. The gun was in his hand. He wasn't moving or even resisting when they took him in. They say he actually looked a bit out of it. When they later asked him about what he'd done, he never denied any of it. This would be the gun in question. It has his fingerprints all over it. Only his, to be more exact. That showed it was fired on the night of the murder. I would like to add, they showed it was fired only once. Which makes sense considering only one bullet was missing. Does sound pretty bad for your client, Mr. Justice. Not as bad as I feel it's gonna get. In any case, the court will accept this gun as evidence. Alright, gun. And now we come to the most important detail. I mean, yeah, that is important. Is there anything noteworthy you'd like to add? Why did everyone go silent? Strange. Is this usually the part where they show the, At the moment, no. Prosecution has nothing more to add. I wonder why. Right, I forgot about that. How on earth did you forget the part that could help prove my client innocent? Hey, come on, I can't keep track of everything. You want to fill in the player? And yes, that was witchcraft too. I really know how to take away my moments. In case I better hold back with it for now. He's bound to bring it up himself eventually. So how will he explain it? It's like one of those straightforward you suck kinds of things. Not really. We're just getting warmed up here. Still though, they'll need to hit us hard from the get-go here. And now it seems like they're leaving out important chunks. Well, I know they're leaving one important chunk out. The question now becomes how long before they present their full case, and how they do it. But no matter what, I won't just sit back. It's not helping my case, but if I leave anything out of the open, it'll look that much worse. Mr. Marston's innocent, but to prove that I need information. Really? It was the obvious point is if the butler was there, why didn't he use the master key? Objection! Why, detective? Huh? It was truly locked at the time the witnesses rushed to the door. And why break it down? Oh my god, what is this? Oh god! What is this theme song? That is... oh. God. After all, they had a perfectly functional master key that could unlock it for them. Ah. Come now, Justice. Do you think so little of us? And the crowd gets excited really easily these days. Witness did just that. It's the key on the door. And the door did unlock, didn't it, Detective? Huh? For a moment I thought that admission might have been intentional. Oh, that. Yes, Detective, that. I suggest you consider taking that vacation. You're working too hard. It's making you forget details. Oh, don't worry about it, sir. My mind's as sharp as it ever was. Not exactly a consolation there. I suggested that for your sake, Detective. After all, the last thing I need is you putting your life in danger because of stress. Sir, I just forgot a small detail. It happens all the time. It starts with that, Gumshoe, but after that it escalates. You get yourself hurt by forgetting the basics. And for what? Oh no, not this again. Good God, man, you have a wife and a child now. You can't afford to forget. Oh my God. In fact, that's an order. After this case, you're taking that vacation. But sir... No negotiating. I will not allow you to act irresponsibly. While I'm at it, I might as well discuss the time you spent in my office. It's perfectly fine to go home. I I'm fine with working with other detectives. Not to mention, Maggie calling my office about your well-being has gotten tedious. Does she not have my cell phone number? Okay, that was a good setup. I like It's gotten tedious. Maggie always calling me asking about your well-being. Give her my cell phone number, man. Nephew, if something were to happen to you, she must have a quick means of reaching me. Worse yet, what if something happened to little Miles and she couldn't reach you? Who on earth is she going to call? My father-in-law? Sir, do we need to talk about this here? And what if I happen to be sick and not in my office when something happens? What then, detective? Oh my god. Chief prosecutor? And that's why you don't want Miles Edgeworth getting attached to you. But hey, it's as good evidence as any that he's actually human. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Shall continue this discussion another time. For now, please inform Mr. Justice of your simple mistake. Right. It's actually pretty simple, pal. They did unlock the door with the master key. The problem was with opening it. Opening? There was a chain set between the door and the wall. Oh, chains. How I've missed ye. I should note that the chain was set by the victim as well. Hence, when the guests tried opening the door, they couldn't open it fully. Instead, they were greeted by a gap in which they could see into the room. Upon seeing the body, they decided not to waste time trying to cut the chain, and broke it down. They noted that the door itself wasn't made unusable in the process, just the chain. In other words, it still had the ability to be opened and closed. I should also note that there were no tricks involved concerning the chain. As in, there was a real chain. It was set properly. All the witnesses can attest to that. I feel like there's a reason he happens to be staring me in the eye. Very well. Thank you for clarifying this, Mr. Gumshoe. Happy, Mr. Justice? Not exactly happy, but the defense accepts the prosecution's explanation. Well, seems like that's all you had. Suppose it's time. If I strike now, I might never get the jury on my side. Thank you, Detective. That was, without a doubt, a very informative testimony. I think that's my line, Mr. Justice. Thank you, Detective. That will do quite nicely. What a very informative testimony. Things aren't looking very bright for Mr. Marston, I'm afraid. Still as I remember it being, I guess. He's waiting, you know. Made his first move. The clock starts on your side now. It'd be such a shame if the opponent didn't do anything to respond in kind. I agree completely. Yes, that testimony was certainly interesting and quite damaging for my case. You've made some strong points against my client. I hate it when you guys smirk like that. Bet you do. A detective. Please trust me. No idea how it happened either. But the fact is, I don't think they can explain it. That is what you will use to prove him innocent. Oh, God! Don't you feel like there's something you maybe left out? Left out, Mr. Justice? Mr. Edgeworth, I honestly doubt you're one to miss important details. Yet for some reason, I think something hasn't been presented to the court yet. How odd. So dramatic. Well, that's one way to make a first move. Mr. Justice, what exactly are you talking about? Well, if you know this isn't a place for showing off and acting superior. Correct. Unless you happen to be the prosecution, that Their silence says it all. They really can't explain it. It's quite simple, Your Honor. The defense believes that a critical piece of information has yet to be presented, and as I said, Your Honor, it is quite strange. This particular piece of information is something that is usually submitted right away. I think that, while more often than not doesn't prove my client's guilt, it's required to be on a trial's evidence list. But, for some reason the prosecution seems to have avoided presenting... Oh my god, we get to type in... Autopsy report. You're so clever. What else? The autopsy report. Autopsy? You know that thing that keeps us from saying that the victim starved to death? Granted, in this case, it would have needed to happen right after we closed the door, but... You know what an autopsy is, you strange hobo man. A true American superhero. My explanation was more of disappointment, considering Mr. Justice's apparent confidence. After all, I'm certain that the good detective simply forgot about it. Is that a "you're right, Your Honor, I'm so embarrassed" kind of or the about that Ooh. Mr. Justice makes a fair point. We haven't presented an autopsy report. Fortunately, considering the nature of this particular case, I don't think we can. Last time I checked, and I checked 20 minutes ago, I'm the one who should decide that. It's not like that, Your Honor. It's just, we can't. Well, thank you, Detective. That clarified a lot for me. It makes perfect sense now. Mr. Justice, you brought this point up. Considering that smug look on your face, would you mind explaining what I'm missing here? But, Your Honor, you got it all wrong. It's not about what you're missing. It's about what the prosecution is missing. Strange hobo man, your 2 cents. Nobody else is explaining a damn thing about this story so far, so... Strange hobo man, you got anything? Wait, Your Honor, I'll explain. See, this case is very strange for a number of reasons. Consider the fact that the defendant confessed one of them. There's another, far more bizarre element to this. An element that will allow you to look at this case in a completely different light. And so early on, too. The reason why there's no autopsy report, Your Honor, because the police couldn't perform an autopsy. What the fuck does that mean? See, they were missing something. In fact, they still are. Something they absolutely needed, something every autopsy needs. Will you just answer the goddamn question? What else does an autopsy need more than a... Why are you playing these mind games with me? Can't we just fucking explain this and move on? Victim's body. Yes, I had to type out the word body. Mr. Justice, are you saying that the prosecution is not in possession of the body? You sure that's what I said 5 seconds ago? Yes, Your Honor. Because you see... Enough. Once again, I must give you credit. It's quite obvious that you are more than prepared, Justice. I'd be an idiot if I didn't know something that major. I thank you for leading the court up to this point, as I expected you would. This is, I assume, the basis for your entire case. The fact that the victim's body disappeared while it was impossible for my client to do it? It's every attorney's dream. Well then, let's not keep you in wait any longer. Detective, please testify about what happened to the victim's body after the crime. Finally. Right, the body. After the guests apprehended the suspect, they left the room and called the police. The defendant was restrained and in their sights the entire time. When the police arrived, the body was gone, pal. Just no way that was possible. Okay, simple enough. Well, it happened, so I'd say it was more than possible. Just not for my client.
Objection!
I don't think you quite understood the detective's last statement. Regardless of whether or not your client is guilty or not, there was no way for that body to disappear from the study.
Objection!
From what I remember, it's impossible. Let's not talk about it. It is not your style. Not to mention unacceptable in a court of law.
Hold it!
Don't misunderstand, Justice. The matter in question is being looked into as we speak. The fact is, the prosecution doesn't believe it has anything to do with this trial. What? Person being murdered and then having his body disappear right after being found? How could it not have everything to do with this trial? Justice, you misunderstand yet again. Not saying they're unrelated, not even saying they're unconnected. I'm saying that it has nothing to do with the fact that your client is on trial for murder. It has nothing to do with the fact that he confessed. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's the only suspect. Fair point. You can't be serious. How could you possibly claim my client is the only suspect? Someone must have taken that body. That someone must have done it by making it seem impossible. You're arguing that my client is guilty because it's the only option remaining, because it's a bloody obvious option. There's clearly another one you're not seeing. Hold it! Going with the option that is supported by logic and evidence. Both of these point to your client. But it doesn't. It's the way the body could have been taken away. It could have been done by basically anyone. I'm assuming you want me to present the floor plan and the window? I don't quite understand, Mr. Justice. No, damn it, that's not what I meant. Then I suggest you show me what you do mean next time. Yes? Okay. Only thing that's at the door. All they do is enter the room after everyone left. Okay. Someone was hiding in the mansion from the start. They could have killed the victim. Afterwards, after everyone left, they simply removed the body for the sake of confusion. Maybe even for the sake of framing my client. How would that work? Wouldn't be throwing that word around lightly, Justice. One that doesn't match up with your client's own confession of the already mentioned evidence. Putting aside that the existence of another person is unlikely to be possible on its own. And the fact that this act would lift the suspicion from your client rather than putting it on him. It's the fact that the door was locked by the guests right after they left the room. Well, I guess it would have been too obvious. This is, one of the strangest things I've ever seen since lunch break. I must admit though, Mr. Edgeworth, that I can't quite see how your own case works now. Excuse me. I believe that it's impossible that the body disappeared. That's a paradox on its own. There exists a method X in which a body can disappear from inside an empty room. Either there could exist a method X for the murder itself. I believe I worded my statement incorrectly, Your Honor. Of course there exists a way. There must be one. However, that does not change the facts. There exists a full statement made by the defendant in which he describes everything he did. And nowhere is there a hint of another culprit or a method X. In truth, these two problems should be viewed individually. The defendant killed the victim. His body disappeared due to another chain of events. For the latter, we have simply not spotted that chain. In fact, it's quite possible that the entire reason behind it was to make the defendant look in, how should I say, a better light. But you don't know that's the case. And frankly, you don't know it is either. You're both correct. But the fact is that we have evidence proving our assumption. This isn't an actual devil's proof. That the two possibilities aren't even equally possible. Well, I can't dispute your claim. You haven't even shown any evidence to present it as the more probable possibility. Yet, no matter what the explanation, the fact that your client is a murderer doesn't change. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, fine, we get it. We need to show how the body really disappeared. You're not even listening to me, are you? Fine, we'll also show that our client probably isn't a murderer. Since probably is the best I can hope for, knowing your stubborn head. Well, assuming your plea hasn't changed. This is ridiculous. He's basically just ignoring the strongest part of my case. Well, and he has a point. We gotta come up with the proof to make him not ignore it. Just think of something. How? I was never actually at the crime scene. It's about you saying you were ready. Damn it. I knew she wouldn't be able to tell me everything. In hindsight, I wish she would have been able to get her hands on a photo at least. Now what do I do? Damn it. Chief Prosecutor. He's flat out ignoring unanswered questions. How in the hell am I supposed to do this? I expected for this to sway the jury on my side, but if I stumble now, I look just as bad as he does. That's why they didn't talk about it, because it never mattered. There you go. Here, Justice, a photo of the crime scene. Perhaps it'll help you in exposing the trick. Doesn't exactly seem like a study, Mr. Edgeworth. What the butler told us, this wasn't a traditional study in the true sense of the word. It was merely a room in which Mr. Arts could inhabit and gather his thoughts. The only piece of furniture in the room was this bed, a chair, and a table. Not much to work with. I noticed the body outline in the bottom right corner. It was placed there following the witness's testimony. Kinda defeats the purpose of a body outline, you know. It's there to give the jury a rough idea of where the body was when discovered. I see. So before you suggested, there were no secret passages or fake floors or ceilings. This photo captures anything possibly relevant in the crime scene. Well, Justice, any ideas on how the body disappeared? I'm surprised you're even asking. The way out is obvious. I mean, it's right there. He's right. It really is. The window. I wonder about that, right? But still, I'd like the defense to humor me. Looking at this photo, show me a way the body could have been removed from the scene. The window, obviously. Something wrong, Justice? No, just thinking ahead a bit. I'm stating the painfully obvious, which means that there must be an explanation. Why it just doesn't work or make sense. Leaving me essentially where I was just a few seconds ago, except with one idea less. Make that no ideas. Your Honor, as you might imagine, the defense assumed the obvious. What's the obvious? We'll find out next time. Bad cliffhanger, go!